All right, good evening, guys. How are we doing? How was our day? Welcome back. Welcome to week 2 of our data analytics, data science training. All right, I still remain your man, your boy, Michael. All right, and so today, without wasting much of our time, of course, going by week 2. So today we've covered this last week, logical functions. All right. I think we didn't really cover the statistical function. I think we covered this as well when we were talking about we didn't cover the main media mode. All right. So I will start with that, but it's very straightforward. So statistical functions, and then we've covered these logical functions. All right. We've covered so we're going to touch index and match. All right, pivot tables and power query. So probably tomorrow or next week, right? So that I won't bombard us too much. We'll now talk about power pivot and then how to build dashboard in Excel. Then we're going to be done with the Excel part of the training. All right. So let's kick that to Excel. All right. So let me create a new sheet. Let me insert a new sheet here. All right, for statistical functions. Good. All right. Okay. So let me copy this as well to this. Okay. Let me just call me an expand once, right? So that we have an expansion once. So this is our source data. This is the data we are going to be using. All right. So let's start with statistical functions. So I believe we should be familiar with that. So we say statistical functions. We're talking about the mean, all right, the median, the mode, right, the variance, and standard deviation. So those are statistical functions. All right. If you come to formula here, you have more functions or math and tricks. All right. You might not, so you find some of them here. Or when you come to more functions, all right, so statistical functions, you have binomial, none of them. But basically for when we get to machine learning, so we'll treat in depth more advanced ones. But for this class, of course, those are mediums. You can see you even have engineering functions, all right, compatibility functions, which are some of the ones we've treated. All right. So very briefly, so for example, I'm going to be using this sales ID. All right, so if I'm to use sales ID, it's just the normal formula. What is the mean? But in Excel there is no mean, we have average. All right, if you press mean, you won't see it. What you see in Excel is geometric mean, harmonic mean, all right, and trim mean. So we are not, the geometric mean is what you apply in advanced analytics, or let me say statistics, harmonic mean. So we're not going to be going to that side. All right, so average, for example, is what this is mean. All right, in Excel, so in Excel it is average that we have instead of mean. So average of, it will ask you the numbers, but of course you can always, let's say we need the average of this, you just highlight that, close the bracket, and you get the average. So the average or the mean of the salesperson ID is this. All right, so if you are to get the median as well, So equals to median. All right, so you highlight. So median is what? Is the middle number, and if it does not see any middle number, what does that do? What does it do? It does what? It picks the 2 at the middle. All right, so let me say, for example, this, we have this list of numbers. Let me come here and transpose it. How do you transpose? Just right click and come here. You see this, the fourth paste option, that is transpose. So it will transpose it. So if you look at this data, for example, all right, you have 101, 102. So the first thing is you have to ensure that you arrange it. If you are doing manually, that's why I'm saying this. You have to arrange it from ascending to descending first before you find median. When you arrange from ascending to descending, then you now look for the middle one. So count from here. How many is this? 1, 2, 3. Right, this is 11. You can see the count down here. All right, where my mouse is placed, you can see the count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11, so meaning 5 aside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. So 1, 2. Sorry, I want to highlight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 5. 5. So the median here should be 104. So why is it giving us 103? It should be 104 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, sorry, it was not arranged. You can see what I'm saying now. It hasn't been arranged, in ascending order. So we have 103 here, you have another 103 here, you have another 103 here. So it has to be arranged. So if you arrange it now, you know that this we have to come here. So we can replace this with 103. All right, and then you replace this with what? We replace this with what? 104. All right, we have to replace also this with 10, any other 103 there. Okay, so we have to replace this one with 103 as well. 102, 103. Then this becomes, I hope I've not made any mistakes. So 104. So okay, so also this has to come before this, so meaning we have to bring this here. So just a bit of arrangement, just arrange it, and then you discover that if you bring this one here now, this 101 here, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so then again 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we've missed one along the way. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at the end of the day, 103 we shall be at the middle. So that's the logic. So median is the one at the middle. Mean is the sum total of all divided by the number of occurrence. So for this now we have 11. So when we add up all of this, all right, we can also use Excel. So meaning equals to sum of all these guys, highlight it, close the bracket, divided by 11. So that gives us this guy here. So it's close, but I don't know, it should be giving us 822, 812. So I don't know why it's a bit, but it's close. So but that's how it works anyway. So I just want us to get that. All right, the mode of course as well is what is the most frequent. All right, and if you look at this, 101 occurs how many times? Twice. Or let's just count from here. 101 occurs twice, right? 103 occurs 1, 2, 3 times. Of course, it's obviously the mode, right? The most occurring. So mode, this is mode. All right, mode, and then you highlight, and then that's 103, of course. Variance as well. So all those of options are there. Variance is the square root of standard deviation, right? No, sorry, standard deviation is square root of variance. All right, why variance is standard deviation square. So the formula is there. So you will notice that there are different variance here. Variance dot p, variance of sample. So the difference is variance of P is variance of the population. So for example, this is statistics now. For example, if you have a larger number of students, let's say in SS3 the whole of 100 students, but you want to pick sample of those that are neat and those that are not neat. It won't be data wise, it won't be, let's say 1000, it won't be nice for you to be checking each one of them, right? You can't be checking each one of them and be doing your analysis. So what is the best way to carry out your analysis, all right, is to do what? Is to select, let's say, 10 males and 10 females. So that is a sample. You are picking a sample of 10 males and 10 females out of a population of what? 1000. So that is what we call sample and population. So you are picking a sample, that the 10 males and 10 are the samples, the 1000 is the population. So meaning any inference, any conclusion you are drawing from that 10 males, 10 females will be inferred on that 1000. So meaning if you say these SS3 students are neat based on the 10 males and 10 females you selected. So generally, if you are to present a result, you say, I discovered by my analysis that all SS3 students are what? Neat. But did you analyze all of them? No. So that is where we come about statistics now. So from your sample, you are drawing conclusion. So all right, but one thing in statistics, so you can, these are terms in statistics now, which is very important to know as well. Just take note. So in statistics now, it is very important that there mustn't be much difference between your sample and your population. So if there is too much difference now, all right, so that is biasness. All right, so that is biasness, or we call it what? Deviation. So that what does that mean? If you look at the mean of your, let's say the mean of your population now, so I'm just trying to explain. All right, the mean of, let's say the mean of your population, that is, you have 1000 students. Let's now add their age, for example. That is, let's say the addition of their age is 12,000, right? Equals to 12,000 divided by the mean of the population. The population is 1000, right? So meaning the mean is 12. So because the total summation of their age by 12 by 1000. So let's now say this is for 1000 students, right? So now this is their mean. So let's now say you selected 10 students, right? Or let's say 20 now. 10 means 20 students as your sample. So this represents your population. This represents your sample. All right. So if you have 20 students, right? So let's now say the summation of their age is, that one was 12,000. This one will not pass 12,000. Now let's just say, because 20 students, let's just say 120. So 120 divided by 12, for example, divided by 20, that gives you what? 6. All right. So this is deviation. So the mean of the sample, these are mean, sample mean, or let's just say sample mean and population mean. All right. So the mean of the sample is far from that of the population. So we'll say there is high standard deviation, right? So we'll say there is high standard deviation between the mean. There is a high deviation of the sample from the mean, which is very right, because we are out of 1000 students, you are picking 20. So your sample, your data will be, your analysis will be biased. What do we mean by biased? Your sample will not be the true representation of your data. So that's why we call biasness in data analysis. All right. So that's it. That is, I'm just trying to explain what that P and M means. So that is how that is. And variance, of course, is just the scale of the standard deviation, right? So this VARP means variance of the population. This VARS means variance of the sample, and the same thing applies to this covariance of population, covariance of sample. So that's that about that. So for this, we are just doing a sample because this data right here was picked from the source data. So it's like a sample. So in this case, we say variance dot what dot sample, and then we pick that same range of data. All right, close it. All right, then hit enter. You get your variance, of course. And then for standard deviation again, you still pick your STD. You can see standard deviation of population of sample. So depending on what you have, so if I'm going to calculate the standard deviation of this source data now, I will use of what population, because this is the real population. All right, so I hope that is clear. All right, so let's proceed. So that's just a bit about statistical functions. So a lot of them, just play around. If time permits, I might still give us a project on this statistical, but that's not the focus of this course. But let's see how we'll move, right? So so straight away, let's move to name ranges. Okay, what are name ranges? Name ranges is happens because now you might want to add, right? You might want to add your data. So, but every now and then you are adding the same data. Let's say, for example, this small table that I have here, you get it every day. All right, you get it every day, and let's say what just changes is just this value and maybe some of the names, but you get the same value, this same table every day. All right, and you now have to always pick ranges. Let's say you want to sum this sales ID now, you now have to always pick this every now and then. Or you want to say sales person salary, you have to pick this every now and then, so it doesn't make sense. So what does name ranges does? Or maybe you are doing a lot of big formula like the ones we treated that day that is very long. So instead of trying to come back pick, what you just do is you've named your table or you've named your column. All right, you can name a cell, you can name everything. So you've named it. So what you just need to do is just call it. Let me give us an example. For example, so let's name this guy. Let's name this guy salary. I'll come to this name box and press salary, but ensure that it does not have space. If it has space, it will not be successful. It must not have space in between. It must not have space in between. Must not have space in between. So it must not have space in between. So we've named this, right? So there are two ways. I've named it from here. All right, so I can also come to formulas. All right, I come to name manager. So and do what? Okay, you can see that I've highlighted that, but it has even given it a name. So I can edit and say no, I'm not using the name salary again. I want to use another thing, and I click OK. Right, so I can define names here. Let me close this. All right, I can define names. All right, I can use in formulas and all that. So we've named this now. So instead of the normal convention way of saying equals to sum, all right, and then we are trying to add this. All right, we now okay, so you can see that salary is already there. So instead of us trying to say E2 to E12, all right, it saves us. What I need to just say is sum. I will just type salary and it will bring it up. I will press my tab to complete that, close my bracket, and that is all. So it's better now compared to when I have to now say E2 to, I have to highlight E2 to E12. But with what I have, I will just say I know that what I named this guy is what salary. So all I just need to do is call salary. and close, and that is it. So that's one of the benefits of name ranges. All right, you can, we've just named a column, right? So we can also name the entire table. All right, I can come here and say what? Sales underscore table. Remember, I told us it must not have space in between, so that's why I'm using underscore. So I'm using a special character underscore to separate my value. All right, so with that, I've named this as well. All right, so anywhere I can recall this table, you get it. So for example, I want to do Vlookup or something, I can recall this table. All right, so that is that about that. So that's that about name ranges. About index. So guys, let's talk about index. So how does index works? So index returns the position of a cell, right, in a table. It returns the position of a cell in a table. So for example, if you look at this is a table, let's name this first. All right, so let's name it as you said. Let's name it. Your name has to be dynamic, right? We've used sales table, so let's just say we want to name this sales, right? We want to name this table sales, for example. So now how do we do our index? So for example, if you look at this guy now, salesperson name, this salesperson name is in what? Column 2, right? Row 1. Column 2, row what? Row 1. I hope that is clear. So if I want to return Peacock Paul, for example, what does that how do I do that? All right, that will be what? Column 2, row what? 1 1 2 3 4. Column 2, row 4. All right, if I want to return, let's say this guy now, that will be what? 1 2 3 4 5. Column 5, row what now? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So 65,000 will be what? Column 5, row 7. Do you get that logic now, right? So but I noticed something here. There are formulas there. So how do you remove this formula? It might disturb you. So to remove the formula is not stressful. You just do what? Highlight that column, or highlight that column. All right, I think this side. All right, just say Ctrl+C on your keyboard and then come to the first one. Don't click on anything. Right click and say paste value. This other one is this 1 2 3 paste option, paste value. Immediately you place value, it will remove the formula from it so that it won't disturb us going forward. I hope that is clear. All right, so we've named our table what? Sales, right? So let's now try to work with index. Equals to index. All right, the array is what? The array is the table you're working with now. The name of our table is what? Sales. What do you notice? It brought out all table names in this workbook. We've worked with salary when we're talking about name ranges. We've talked with sales table when we're talking about name ranges. So what the name of this table that we're working with is sales, right? So each tab, click on it, each tab, you've done that. So which row let's say for example we want to return Paul here. All right, so what do you do? That is row, that is row 1 2 1 2 3 4, row 4, comma, column 1 2 3 4, column 4. All right, this now will return Paul. You can see, so it returns Paul for us. So it returns the position of that character or sentence or word or number, right? So that's what index does. All right, now that is that about index. That's simple as ABC. That is index. So you can use it anywhere in your table, right? So let's proceed to match. So how does match work? In contrast to how VLOOKUP works. All right. Sorry, I said VLOOKUP. How index works. We said index returns the position. All right, that is the row, right, or the position of a word or character, but you have to state it. All right, let's say you are looking for peacock. It looks with peacock is in row. It will return that word itself. Index returns the word itself, but match returns the position. All right, so for example, this is saying peacock is saying 1 2 3 4. Peacock is in row 4, right? So, and we said is in column what? 1 2 3. So that is row 4, right? Column 3, that is peacock. So when we enter row 4 column 3, it returns what? Peacock, when we are using index. So index will return that word itself, but match will now return the position. Sorry, I think I contradicted myself at one point there. All right, so match returns the position, index returns what? The word itself or the value itself. But the difference still remains that my index work with like a range, like an array. So you can't just take this when you are working with index. All right, it's either you are taking something like this, all right, maybe 2 rows 2 columns, like 2 by 2, because an array is at least 2 by 2, all right, or 2 by 1, all right, something like this, right. So that's how index work, right? So but match, now match you can take match work with was just 1 column or 1 row. Match works is just 1 column or 1 row, right? While index has to work with, let's say, a range of a table like this. That's an array, right? Let's practice that. Let's get started. Equals to match. For example, I told us match returns the position, that is maybe 4, position 5, position 6, while index returns what? Returns the value itself. So let's look at match now. So match, the first, you can see that I told us last week that Excel is so helpful that it tells you what, even if you don't have an idea or if you don't use that function before, it will tell you what you need to input. So you can see this match now. When we open that bracket, it says lookup value, lookup array, match type, right? So lookup value is, okay, what value do you want to return the position, right? Let's say you want to return the position of matter, right? Comma. So lookup array is, okay, it is from which row or column do you want to return this guy. So let's say we want to know its position in a column, in this column, all right? That is the lookup array, comma. So you can see that for lookup array for index, we can't take just 1 column. We can either take at least 2 columns, right? So that's the difference. Although if you take 1 column as well, it will still work, right? It will still work. It will just tell you it will just give you that name, right? So it will still work, but you will see now when we are using it for VLOOKUP, right? So and you now take exact match, right? So this third match type, it can be less than, greater than, or exact match, but of course you want to return the exact match, you want to resolve the exact position. So what does this mean? It means if you have something close, let's say you have, we want to return the position of matter, for example, now, right? We want to return the position of matter, but if you have a word there that is like math, M-A-R-T-H, all right, if you have something like M-A-R-T-H, that is very close to matter, right? So you can use 1 instead of writing this exact match 0. You can use 1, so it will still return that same position of matter, because math is close to matter. So that, but most times you'll be dealing with exact match. So you can either write exact match or you write 0. So you can see 0 or exact match. So you just say 0, meaning you want it to return an exact match. Hit enter, and you can see that it's saying what? 3. So let's count. This is a column 1 2 3. So it is in position 3 of that column. You can see what I'm saying now. So you can either change it again. No, I don't want to return. I want to know the position by row. So what do? Just come here, right? Or you edit from here. Clean this. and then pick that row where that word belongs to. This is the row it belongs to, right? So if you pick the row now and then hit enter, what are you expected to get? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that gives you, so it is in what? Column 4, right? And row 3. So you can get, so you can see that it's interwoven, right? But if I should do this, and let me clean this A3 to E3 and try to highlight, let's say 2 rows, right? You see that it will return error, right? Because it doesn't recognize that they are either working with just one word, one row, or one column, right? So that's that about that. So that's how index and match works. All right. So why do we need this? Now, its index and match is, so that takes us to the next page. All right. So index and match, you can see what I did there. Salesperson name, right? Vlookup, right? So let me bring in these salesperson names here. All right. So we'll now use index and match and Vlookup, right? Okay. So you can see that it was not pasting, so I have to use base value, right? So but you notice something, there are repetitions, right? So far we are repeating, although it will still give us, so far we are using those names are not the engine, so it will still give us what we need. So let's proceed. Let's go to the almighty Vlookup now. Vlookup is very simple, but index and match has an advantage, right? So we see the advantage of index and match now. So let's use Vlookup first. So okay, let me just tell us the difference, right? So Vlookup. So the advantage of Vlookup is when you are using Vlookup, what you are looking for has to be at the first column. It has to be, so like for example, when we are using Vlookup now, what we are looking for must be sales ID. It must. So if it is not sales ID, we have to move it to first row. You get me? So you have to move it to first row. So you can either say, okay, let's say what you are looking for is this salesperson ID. You have to copy this guy and bring it to column A, right? Before you now start using Vlookup. Alright, so that is one disadvantage of Vlookup. So Vlookup, you have to ensure that what you are looking for is on the left. Alright, so but for index and match, you can look up anything from any side. So be it at the center, be it what, let's say this salesperson ID is here. Alright, and you have let's say name. Okay, for example, let's say we have name. Let's say you have name. Let's say you have sex. Let's say you have gender or something. So let's say you have something of this nature and you want to look up this gender. All right, I will explain what we say look up. When you want to look up this gender, so if you want to look up this gender can be here. You don't need to move it to this first column. You can, with index and match, you can do your lookup from anywhere. So that's one advantage of index and match. But Vlookup, you have to move it to this side before you do your search. So what do we say? Because I can see that people are what are we lookuping? All right, for example, let's say you have a table in your office, right? In your office now, you have in your office you have a table. You have names of staffs. All right, you have the names of all your staffs. Thus are they let's say this is staffs. Ade, Shade, Ife. All right, and let's say their ID is here. Let's say Titi, Tayo, Oh, I'm talking about ID. So 1, 2, 3. All right, you have this in one Excel file. All right, you now have an Excel file that now has ID. Now has 1, 2, 3. All right, and now has, let's say, their salary. Let's say 20 naira, 30 naira, 40 naira. So, but you want to send this file, right? You want to send this file to someone, ID and salary. You want to send this to your boss. Will you send this to your boss like that? Let's say not even to your boss, to you are the accountant. What you have is this. All right, you are the accountant. What you have is just the ID of that staff and their salary. And maybe one of the secretary just have, secretary will not have their salary now. What is secretary doing with the salary of the staffs? So secretary might most likely have just their name, their ID, their sex, their age, and all that. All right. So, but the accountant has their ID and their salary, but the accountant does not have their name. Well, he wants to send this out now to the cashier or something, or want to send this to the bank for them to pay. Will he send this to the bank like that? No. The bank will say, who has the salary of 20 naira? Who has that of 30 naira? Who has that of 40 naira? So that's what we are saying about lookup. So lookup is now that, okay, how do I now bring this staff name here? How do I bring this staff name? And I don't need, it's not that I would now go and, you are talking about 1 million rows, all right? And the staff name, let's say, is not even regular here. Maybe there is 3 here, there is 1 here, there is 2 here. You cannot just, if it is 1, 2, 3 straight, you can just copy this one now, copy, and do what? And paste directly, because it is also 1, 2, 3 here. But in this case, that what you have, all right, I just want us to understand. But in this case, what you have here is 312 ID 312. You can't just copy directly. And just imagine you have a lot of staff, 2,000 staff. We will now be saying, okay, let me look for 3. Okay, 3 is Ade. Okay, let me now come here. Okay, Ade. 1 is Shade. Okay, Shade. Okay, 2 is Ife. Just imagine how long you spend on this. So you now send this now to the bank. Just imagine how long you spend on this, trying to do what? Trying to fill out the names. 2 million rows. All right. But with the help of Vlookup, you can just do that in a twinkle of an eye for millions of rows. So that is why Vlookup is important. But where do we derive that name? Vlookup, vertical lookup. You can see that what we are arranging is vertical. This is vertical now, right? And this is what? Horizontal. All right. So that is where you get that V from. So meaning this space that I want to fill, I'm filling it vertically. That is where we have Vlookup. So if what I wanted to fill is horizontal, right? I use what? Hlookup. So we'll go there. That will be our next for just from the horizontal H, V vertical Vlookup. All right, but Vlookup is the most used because you mostly have data in that Hlookup format. But of course, it's very very useful as well in some cases, right? So for this small data now, we can just practice with our Vlookup. So I want to return staffs. I want to return staffs. So what do? I will just say equals to Vlookup equals to Vlookup. Right, sorry, equals to Vlookup. Now tell us lookup value. Lookup value. So lookup value is what do you want to look up in this current table, right? What do you want to look up in this current table to return an alternative value? So our aim is for everyone, right? I want to return Shade. So my lookup value will be, I want to look up 1. So where do you want to return that shade from, right? That is the table array. The table you want to return that shade, this shade from now for 1. You now highlight it. You highlight all that table. Comma. Which column are you returning from that shade table? ID is column 1, staff is what? Column 2. So you are returning it from what? Column 2. Comma. Do you want an exact match or approximate match? Just as I've explained, of course, you need an exact match. So you can also press true or false. So you can write true here, or you can write what? 0. So 0 is also true. 1 is false. So, but 0 is always very fast. So you close your bracket. You've done what you need to do. You can see now that it returns what? Shade. Straight away, you don't need to write it manually. And if you copy this down, you have, you see, so this, why is this one not giving us? Okay, sorry, the reason is, so I will discuss that when I'm discussing referencing, right? So to avoid that, I will lock this. So how do I lock? You lock with dollars, right? So I lock with dollar sign, right? Dollar. So I lock both sides. I will discuss about this when we get to referencing dollar. All right, so look at it now. So if I now copy down now, it won't give me that error. You can see now, because I've locked that table, that don't move, that is lock, right? I've locked that table. So that is Vlookup. That is all about Vlookup. Just looking up something, but it's very, as simple as it is, it's very essential, right? I can use it. Just imagine I'm not just returning, let's say what they have here, I'm not just returning the name. I have a large table here, and the bank says, okay, I don't just need the name, bring me that, give me their sex, give me their this, give me their agenda, give me all of this, and I only have it in this table here. I can always use my Vlookup again, equals Vlookup, right? And but you can see that when we're picking our lookup value, when we're picking our lookup value is coming from what? Column 1, this first column. If our lookup cannot come from here, cannot come from salary, it must come from the first column. So that is the only disadvantage of Vlookup. But with index, right, I can, my lookup can come from anywhere. So let's try index now, for example. All right, let's say let's see. Okay, let me give us an example. So let's just interchange this. Let me copy this now. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So we have this, right? Staffs. I want to return staffs as well. Staffs. So what I just did here is turn them to small tables. Alright, let me turn this using what? Remember what you used to turn to table, Alt-N-T. So I have all these small tables here. Okay, maybe I should even turn this to table. Alright, so let me remove. I always love to remove this grid line, so it makes what I'm doing appear very neat and nice, right? So staffs, want to return the same thing you want to return here. So how do you now do it? Using index. So here the advantage of index is I can pick this guy here. I don't need to first of all copy this one and place it here at the first position, first column. No, but even from here I can do my lookup. So that is where index and match comes in. So it's more versatile, right? Index and match you can use the any value from any side, right? So it makes your work faster. So let's start with that. So you say equals to index. All right, so it will ask you for the array. All right, so the array is the table you want to get your value from, right? This is the table you are getting your value from, comma, then it will ask you for the row number. So remember that you can use match to return the row number you are looking for, right? So say match. All right, so what are you looking up for? You are looking for 1. We want to know the row number of what? This 1, right? So from which lookup array? We want to know it from this guy, right? Exact match, right? Close. And then you want to know the column, right? The column number. So from this table, I'm not returning this first column, I'm returning this second column. So 2, right? And you hit enter. You can see now you have your shade, which is 1. If you check here, you have 2 Ife and you have 3 Ade. So this is how you make use of index and match. So I know you might be confused, so I will use this other example so that it can be clearer to us. All right, so we check, let's check the formula again. Index, don't forget that index returns the value itself, right? So index says what is the array, where your array now is, where are you looking up the value, the start from? I'm looking it up from this table, right? Comma, the next thing is row number. So instead of now inserting row number directly, you remember that match returns the position of a word or any letter or number, right? It returns the position. So instead of using row number, remember when we were using index, we entered 1, we entered 2. All right, so instead of writing entering it manually, so what do? You use match. So how does match works? Match says okay, match takes what? Lookup value, so this is 1, from which array? From this id column. Don't forget that match does not take more than 1 column or more than 1 row. So you put that comma, exact match, comma. So it asks you now, so you now complete your index formula. Don't forget that all this match formula here is just for row number. All right, so now the column number now is 2. All right, the column is 2. So because we are returning the staff name, so it is from this 2. So hit enter and that does that exactly immediately. Don't forget that when we're doing it for others, we have to copy this down, but because we've turned this data to a table, so we don't need to copy that. Immediately we do for the first one, it does for the others, right? I hope it's clear. All right, thank you. So let's move ahead and start. Let's try with this. So we want to, so we're using this table, the same table here. So all right, so let's name this table now, so you see the advantage. So instead of us having that issue of having to lock the table, so with name range you don't need to lock because it's picking from that name range. So let's name this table lookup. Lookup. So we've named that lookup now. So we can always search for lookup when we are using Vlookup, right? So equals to Vlookup, because we are using Vlookup here. What are you looking up? We want to look up for the sales. Don't forget I just put it there, just this column B is just for check to be sure, okay, am I correct or not? All right, so we want to use this sales ID to return salesperson name. So we say we are looking for salesperson ID, we now want to return, right? We want to return salesperson name. So table array, don't forget we are supposed to come here now and highlight this table, but because we've named it already, we don't need to come here. We just type in the name of the table, which is what? Lookup. You can see it comes up, so that's the name of the table, comma, where is the column index of what you want to return. So of course sales name is in what? Column 2. So you come back here and say okay, sorry, you have to clean this. Comma 2. What do you want? Exact or approximate line? Exact match. So that is 0. Hit enter. Wow, massive. So you can see that what you have in B is what you have in C, right? It returns it straight away. So of course, I told us you can also use index and match. So how does that work? Equals to what? Index. So index comes first, not the match. So that's why it's index and match. What is your array? Meaning, which table are you returning your answer from, right? You are returning it from lookup table, right? Comma. So row number, instead of row number, you enter what? Match, right? So your lookup value is what? Now you pick, this is what you are looking up for, right? Comma. Now lookup array. So you now have to go back to this table because we didn't name it. So you can also name it beforehand, right? So that you won't be confused. So you just highlight this, comma, right? It will ask you, do you want exact? So you can continue your formula from, even though you've changed sheets, you can still continue your formula, but now you won't see it because you are in another sheet. You have to continue from this formula bar, right? Close, right? Comma. Which column are you returning? We are returning column 2. Say parents name, so 2, and then hit enter, and then enter. You can see. Okay, so it's not copying this down and having error here. So I'll check. So most likely it has shifted. Okay, let's check. What could be the problem? Right, 82 to 813. Let's check this. You can see that this one is A1 to A12, right? So A1 to A12. So the reason why this occurs, right, is because when we use that name of the table, all right, we started from here, from the column headers, all right, but what we really need is from here, right? So it's always very preferable to use where your data resides, right? So it's always very resides. So let's just say LP is the name of where our data resides. So you have to change that from here, so this is a good experience so that you see other scenarios. So let's change this index, all right, LP. So that comes with as well. Let's hit enter now. So it's still, so there is a place now that we made a mistake. So instead of this our index, this our match now, so we have to change that because we picked from the beginning before now as well. So we have to change that and say, okay, pick from here, right? So hit enter now. Okay, why are we still having error? We're still having error. Okay. Okay, so you know what, so as I did the other time, all right, so the best bet is to ensure you lock this guy, right? So you just lock it using dollar, dollar, right? So you can see now it works fine now. So it's because it's shifting, it's about referencing. So the best thing is just to lock it, right? So that gives you your answer, and that's how index and match works and Vlookup, right? So I hope that is clear. So let's forge ahead to Hlookup. So I'm going to copy the same data. All right, I'm going to copy the same data and copy it here, right, and paste. I'll come here to this small rectangle up here, I click on everything, and then I can click on any of the cells so that it expands out, right? So I want to try Hlookup. So the same way, it's just that now that what you're looking for is on the vertical, right? What you're looking for here was on the vertical, but now what you're going to be looking for be on the horizontal, right? So what I can do is we can do a copy. We can do a copy so that you just see it was Ctrl C. Let me come here and say transpose, right? You can see what I've just done. I've just transposed. So I just transposed our data. Right, it looks nice, right? You like it? You like it? So I've just transposed. Okay, let me just do this so that it expands for all. Alright, you can see it expands for all. So I can delete this now. Because I've just transposed my data. Let me delete this. And then let me do Shift Ctrl Star to highlight all, Ctrl X to cut it, and then Ctrl V to paste, right? So this is still our data, right? It's just that we have transposed it, right? So these are sales IDs, these are the names and all that. So let's now say we have the same way we have sales ID, copy it, alright, Ctrl V, and we have Ctrl C, sales name, right? So what we now want to return now, let's say let's say we want to return salary, sales person salary. Alright, so I want to return sales person salary. So how do we do that? It's just the same principle, equals to, but instead of Vlookup now we now use Hlookup. So equals to Hlookup. Alright, so lookup value the same thing. This is our lookup value, comma, where is our array? Alright, this is the array. This is the table we are looking up for. So you can lock it. There's a shortcut. I don't know why it's okay. You have to press F4 on your system, but if your system cannot press, there's always one bool button. So I will snap it and I'll show us. So F4. It's not working here. No, okay, so F4. So I just press that one down. So that it has locked that table. Alright, comma, row index. So before now, Vlookup we say column index, but this here we say row index. So of course that this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. So you can see that salary is in what? Row 5, right? So you just say 5, comma, do you need exact or false? So we need exact as well, so 0, and you hit enter. Alright, so you can see, so all you just need to do is come up to this plus button and drag to the last place. So that gives us, so you can come here to your home and come to general, come to currency, right? So depending on you can, let's format this back to Naira. Alright, so you can see we have the same value. So that's how Hlookup work. You like that? Alright, so let's proceed to referencing. Alright, so I'm gonna copy the same data from here. Alright, so copy, come to referencing and paste. So for referencing, so let me just let me come to home, right? So let me add border and let me add a bit. Let me remove the what's it called now, the grid lines, right? Referencing. Okay. Alright, so we have three types of referencing. Alright, we have absolute referencing, right? Absolute, alright. Absolute. We have mixed, right? Mixed, and of course we have relative, right? relative. So I think it will be good to start with relative, right? Remove this here, and then absolute comes here. So these are the three types of referencing. All right. So let me just increase this. So these are the three types of referencing. We have relative referencing, mixed, and the absolute. So what are the differences, right? So for example, let me insert two columns here. Let me insert. All right. Let me insert another one. Now let's say salary, right, times 2. Now this is how relative referencing works. You don't need to add $, right? It does referencing ab initio. So relative referencing is what SZ does by default. So let me say I want to multiply this by 2 now. So I'll just say equals to this guy times 2. So if I copy this down directly, it does the answer. This is what we call relative referencing. So Excel recognizes that you just done for this. So I will help you do immediately. You see that this is E3. Did you change this yourself? No, Excel does that. You can see E4, right? E5, E6, E7, E8, like that. So this is relative. So relative, why do we call it relative? So relative to what you have by your side, all right, it does that. Let's do something now. Let me copy this now and copy it here. You see that what it will give you error, right? Because you can see Excel has mastered that for this salary times 2, what you are multiplying must be beside. So this guy, when I copy this formula here now, is now picking what? L2, because what I must multiply must come from beside, and I can see that there is blank row there, so that's why it's returning blank. So that is relative. So relative to what you have by the side, or what you have by that is multiply. So you can see that you have negative here. All right. So that is relative referencing. Now, what is mixed referencing? So for mixed referencing, I will do something. All right, I will do a small table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then of course 2, 4, 6. For example, okay, sorry, I'll shift this from here. I'll bring this here. All right, so I'll make this a table. All right, this should be general, right? So let me just increase this a bit, all right, to 10, so that it can be visible. So look at this. Okay, let me shift this. Okay, let me just say 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so look at this. If I want to multiply this now, so I have to say, let's say equals to 2 times 1. Abi, I want to multiply all this table, but look at what will happen now. So look at what just happened. This is correct, right? This is also correct, but this is no longer correct. It is now doing relative referencing for me. But what I want to do is I want to, you get what I'm saying now? So I want to multiply 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 5, 2 times 6, right? Also for 3, 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4, 3 times 5, 3 times 6, 4 times 1, 4 times 2, like that. That's what I want to achieve. But Excel is now doing relative for me. When I copied, let me do that again. Alright. So I did this one first. Alright, I've done my multiplication. I now wanted to try and move down. Alright, I wanted to do this and then do this, but Excel is using relative referencing, which is not correct, right? So in this case, you use mixed referencing, that is, you are referencing it in a mixed version. Alright, so let me solve that for us. So how do you do that? So what we are saying for mixed referencing now is, okay, Excel, please, I beg you, make this one static. For example, when I'm on this row here, when I'm on this row, make this guy static. Make 2 static and then move these guys. When I'm on this 3, make this guy static, then move it along this side. That is, make it 3 times 1 times 2. So how do you do that? So this is what we do. So we can see that this guy is in what? Column A, right? And this guy is what? B, C, D, E, F. So what I will do is equal to, alright, times, see the same rule, alright, but now on this row, right, I don't want this guy, these 2 to move. I don't want it to move. I want it to be static. So how do you make that to static? So meaning A16 must be A16. You don't want that that's 16, meaning you want that row to stay static. That's A16, that is your row. So A16, it must be static. So you now have to lock one of them. How do you do that? So meaning you have to, when you are going this way, you have to lock 16. It will be A16 times this, A16 times this. So you have to lock this 16. So you are not locking A, you are locking 16. Alright, are you getting what I'm saying? So you have to lock this A16, but this one can move. B15, you want it to be B15, C15, right? Sorry, B15, C15, D15. So these guys are moving. So meaning column wise they are moving. B, C, D, E, F. So this B guys are moving, but the row is not moving. It must be B15, 15, 15, 15 or true. But for this guy, A16, when it's going down, it becomes A17, A18, A19, right? So meaning you have to lock. For this A now, you have to lock. So which one are you locking now? This one is changing. 16, 17, 18. So this one has to change. So you can't lock 16. So you'll have to lock A. It must come from A. So A is being locked. So how do you lock A? You can just put a $sign behind A. Alright. But for this B15, because it's going to be turned, when it gets here, it's going to turn to C15. It's going to turn to D15, E15, like that, G15. So meaning I don't want it to change from 15. So what do? You lock 15. So B can change, but it must always be 15, 15. For this one to A can change to A cannot change. 16 can change. 16 can change to 17, 18, 19 if it is going down. So that's how you do mixed references. So now if you copy this down now, it works. Alright, and then copy this down, it works. This is what we call mixed referencing. So if you notice it now, when it got here, it's still saying A must not change. It must not change from that position, column A, right? But 16 can come down when it is here. So look at this one now. When it comes here, it becomes A17. It didn't make it. If it were to be relative referencing now, it will make it B17 or something. So you can see that this position A is not changing. So then if you look at this too, it is this guy that is now changing. You can see C here, it was B here. When you got here, it becomes D, right? So it's changing based on column. Press escape. So this is what we call relative mixed referencing. So why mixed is because one is locked, one is open, one is locked, one is open, right? So that is mixed. But for relative, Excel does that directly. That is what you experience when you are copying the formula or anything. So right, so absolute is very straightforward. Absolute is saying I don't want it to change. So absolute referencing was what I did here. All right, what I did there when I said okay, we have to lock what I did here, right? So I don't want it to change. So meaning I said okay, please, I don't want this table to move. I want it to always be constant at what? A1 to what? To D. Let me go back there. A1 to what? E12. I don't want it to change. So that's what I did there. So I have to lock it. That is lock. So that is absolute. So meaning, for example, if I want to move, let's say for example now, if I move this guy as it is now, let me move it. You see what will happen. Control V. So let me move it down. Control V. You can see what is happening. You can see that when I moved it down, what happened? Sum turns to 0, right? But if I still want to move that same value, right, down, what do? I will just do absolute referencing here, meaning I have to lock all, right? I will lock all. So I'm pressing F4 on my system. It will lock all. You can shift it. When you press F4 first, it will do no referencing. Second one, mixed. Third one, absolute. So if I put it this way now, you see that it will lock all. You can see what is happening. You can see what is happening. It's returning the same. So if I copy this guy now, anywhere I copy it to, even if I make a new sheet and I copy it here, of course, because it's now on the new sheet, because new sheet now is now referencing another thing. So anywhere you copy it to on that current sheet, right, on that current sheet, it remains the same. So that is what we call absolute referencing. I hope that is clear. All right, so let me revert this. Okay, let me just revert this. I think for this, A is not changing, 16 is changing. For this, B is changing, 15 is not changing, right? So let me copy this back, and then it returns the formula to what it was. All right, so this is what? Mixed. This is relative. So let me just color it. This guy here is relative. So because of that, we'll paint this. So mixed. Let's make that this guy. So all this guy here will make it what? This color. Right, and absolute, like what we have here. So absolute is nothing is changing. All right, so let me make this one. Nothing is changing. All right, so that is that about that. So we go to pivot table. All right, so I'm going to use my source data. So how do you go to use the pivot table? Is so straightforward. All right, so straightforward. So I'm going to do this now and stop here so that we meet in the next video, right? So Shift Control Star, that's how you highlight all, right? We can decide to say make it a table or NT, right? that makes our data, sorry, shift control star alt nt, that brings it as a table. All right, so we have it as a table. Control home to make it to the first page, control end to the beginning. So I don't want to press control end for now. So this is our table, right? If I want to make it as a pivot table, I can also come to insert and say pivot table or make it a table, but it's already in the table. That's why this one we can't select it, right? So if I want to make it insert a pivot table, I can press this, right? But if I want to do it manually, I just this shift control star alt nvt, your hot press down, nvt press together with it, right? So let's say where I'm copying it to is I want the table range, that is the name of the table I'm copying. All right, sorry, let me copy again, alt nvt. So is not highlighting this upper part. Okay, is highlighted. So Ctrl Z. Okay, so let me do it again. Alt nvt. Sorry, shift Ctrl star alt nvt, right? So I'll say add the data model. So why do we need to add the data model? I will show us why now. So press OK. So it's going to take me to a new sheet. All right, so I don't want this new sheet, right? This is going to take me to a new sheet. Let me delete this now because I already have a sheet I named pivot table, right? So I want it to take me to that sheet, right? So what do I do? The same format, alt nvt. All right, so now what we choose the other time was new worksheet. That's why it took us to a new worksheet. So but let's don't forget to add to data model, but I want it to be on this existing worksheet, right? So what do I do? Because we have already sheets here, so I will just pick existing worksheet and then I'll come to this arrow, double click on it, and then click on the sheet I want it to go to. So I've clicked on this, so I need it here. I can now choose where I want it. I can choose here. All right, if I like, I can choose here anywhere I like. So let me say I want to choose here now. Then I come back to this arrow. All right, it takes me back, and then I click OK. So you can see it takes me to my sheet. All right, so we are in that sheet now and we can work. So we have a pivot table, so instantly all your all of your columns in that table comes up here, right? So you can see everything comes up here, right? The first thing I would like to do, all right, is to go to pivot table options and name that my table, right? I want to name that my pivot table, let's say pivot 1. So pivot 1, right? So my pivot table is pivot 1. So pivot table is as easy. Let's say we want to know the number of salesperson now. You know what we have here, what we have in our source data, we just know we have different names, right? But we don't know how many salesperson do we really have. So why is pivot table? Why pivot table? Why pivot? A pivot table helps you to do real quick analysis. Instead of us, we can do this using our maybe can't if, right? We now say can't equals to can't if the we now highlight this salesperson name, right? All right, now highlight it and then we can't, or we can say okay, let's can't, and then we now say this is 800 abi. You can now say copy, right? You can now open another sheet and say insert, for example, insert a new sheet and now say paste. Sorry, so I now say let me paste values. All right, and I'll say okay, because this is just 800, it's repeating it. I will now come to data. All right, and I'll come to this guy here that says remove duplicate, right? My data has header, it has header. You now say my data has header. You click on my data has header, you click OK, and then you can see that here now you say okay, we have 9 sales agent. You can see that out of that 800 is just 9 unique guys. So how many salesperson do we have? Just 9. So but because of all this stress, with the help of pivot table, all right, you do that straight away. So let me delete this sheet. I don't want us to be confused, right? Cancel, delete, all right, delete that sheet. Let's go back to our pivot table. All right, so let's do a count of sales person now. So what can I do? I'll just bring it here. All right, salesperson. But now you can see it's showing 799. It's doing a normal count. So we'll now come here, click on that value. So your value comes here. That is your numbers. Like when you say you want to do some, it comes here. Your rows are what you want to see. For example, I can still drag. You can still reuse this guy and say bring this here. You can see what I'm saying. So these are your sales people. So these are the counts. So I will still expand on this in the next video. I'm just going to give introduction. All right, this is salesperson. Now the reason why we added to data model the other time, come to value field setting. If you didn't pick add to data model when we wanted to create a pivot table, you won't see this guy, distinct count. It's a lesson I learned in the hard way when I went for an interview. I can't see distinct count, and they wanted me to do distinct count, but I learned that, right? So you won't see distinct count. It is only when you add to data model that you see this guy. So that's why you have to do that. So I can click this now and say, okay. So instantly you tell me, okay, number of salesperson that we have here is 9. So a CEO, this is analysis straight away. I've had questions like this. Okay, where's our data? I have an Excel data. Okay, can you tell me how many salesperson we have? Okay, sir. How do you get that? You just pick this now with your distinct and pivot table. I have 9. Just imagine this is just about 800 rows of data. You have millions of data. You can't be doing all this. I can't duplicate. It will take your time. Just Alt NVT brings your pivot table, add data model, bring it here, and then I have 9 salesperson. Okay, we need to increase our salesperson so that we can have sales. All right. So for example, let's come back here. That's one example. Let's say again, these are source data. I want to know how much each salesperson makes, or let me say order month, order day. Okay. Okay, this is order amount. This is their salary. So let me say I want to say, okay, which of these salesperson is even performing the best? How do I know the salesperson that is performing the best? This is now analytics now, right? I can only know by the count of orders that salesperson made, right? So and this is order ID. This is order ID. So I can know by okay, if I know the names of my salesperson, I can know the count of their order. So I will know that okay, in this day they made out this so number of orders, and then order amount, right? Okay, this is the total number of amount, cumulative amount that this salesperson brought in. So I can say, this is the best performing salesperson. So let me come back to pivot table. All right, I can copy this pivot table and paste it. All right, let me insert a row so that it won't discuss. So this is another pivot table now. All right, so I can drag this one out because I want to perform another pivot table. So what I want to do is I want to see the names of a sales agent, but now I want to know the best performing. So first thing is I want to do a count of their orders. Oh wow, I can format this, right? Can you put a comma? This is not an account, right? So let me change to general. Let me just, you can come here, right? Right click, say number format, right? I want to make it number, but use a separator. Don't put it in decimal. Okay, that does that for everything at once. So wow, this guy generated 446,237 orders. All right, so these are the orders. These guys. So he's doing. Sorry, that is wrong. So it number of orders should be the count of orders, not sum. So it's doing sum. So you have to change this guy. There's different ways. You can come to value field setting here and change it. You can also come here and right click and say summarize by, right? So it's showing sums. Do you say count? So it's count, right? So I can now come here and say sort. Right click again, sort largest to the smallest. Wow. So Peacock Paul raised the highest number of orders. Wow, it's performing. So I can also see this by date. We'll talk about that. Okay, which day did he have the highest order? We can do that. So these are insights, these are data, these are insights, right? This is what we call data analysis. Okay, but he raised the highest number of order. Does that mean he brought in the highest number of sales? Let's see. All right, you can now go down to your pivot table fields, bring in order amount. All right, let's also format that because it's currency, right? Let's make it currency. All right, so let's remove this formula to make it nice. I think this is good. Okay, all right, this is doing sum, which is correct. It's summing up all his orders, right? Let's arrange this. Sort largest to lowest. Wow, he brought in the highest number of orders and he also brought in the highest number of sales. So meaning you can now draw as someone that is into analytics, that okay, if someone brought in a lot of orders, mean it will bring in a number of much sales, right? So what do? You might not tell them bring more sales. You can tell your sales agent, I want more orders from you, because you know from what you've seen from your analytics that more orders always bring in more sales, right? So these are insights. So I can know that Peacock is the best performing. I can now say I want to reward now. So if there are areas that these guys are covering, I can say, okay, which area are they covering? So if I have just 2 sales agents from this area, I can say, maybe it's this Alimosho. I think people from that area are performing well. I need to recruit more people. So that's why you see some employers say, I need people in Alimosho. They say, no, I live in Ikoruna. Why are they not employing me? This is because of data analytics. No, we discovered that people in Alimosho, or our sales is coming majorly from Alimosho. So let's bombard Alimosho first because we are getting sales from them. Can you see what I'm saying also? I'm going to stop here so that in the next video, we'll talk more extensively on pivot tables and Power Query. Hope you've enjoyed the class. See you in the next class. Bye.